Hi folks, you're with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about something that seems to be increasing in prominence at all levels in business, and of course in government and quangos and so on, where the decisions supposedly at the lower level or up into the mid level are being made not by people who have any expertise, either technical expertise or commercial expertise in the matter before them, but people who are committees are being formed purely on the basis of race and gender quotas or sexuality quotas. So there has to be the proverbial black lesbians on a selection committee. Now, this is the case in business. Now, the area of business that we're in, and again, once again, I'm just mentioning I've got a share in a business that's sort of very much at the upper end of the intellectual property type stuff, and so it's not easy for people who lack the technical expertise or the organizational expertise to understand or comprehend or evaluate, for that matter. So they can't really do it now. Typically, or not always, and it's been changing, but often we're dealing with people who are able to make the commercial judgment. So, well, that's for example, for the services you're providing, that's a good price, and we're happy to pay. I'm simplifying this a bit, but we're happy to pay it. Therefore, let's go ahead and do business. So you tend to, not all the time, but most of the time, be dealing with people who understand the issues either technically or commercially as well. So they can understand technically you're providing the service that we want. Commercially, it's a reasonable price for what you're supplying. So those are really the issues. And once you get outside of that, or people don't have that expertise, then it's very difficult to explain to someone who has no comprehension. Now, you can still get somewhere if the person is very, above average bright and willing to learn, and you can talk them through it and the logic of it sort of, and then the picture sort of appears before them. They go, oh, I get it now. And then you can still have that conversation with people who are bright and keen to learn and succeed and so on. But outside of that, now the committees, increasingly the decision on which supplier to run with is being moved to committees. Now, again, I kind of don't mind that if the people on the committees are knowledgeable in either, again, the technical and or the commercial aspects, or unusually bright or above average bright and can grasp the issues if they're explained to them in careful enough detail. But we're not getting that. We're getting to a situation, and when I say we, I'm talking about the wider business community. We're getting to a position where the decisions aren't being made by people who have any understanding of the issues. And the committees are being increasingly made up of, race, gender, and sexuality quotas. That's it. They're solely there for that. The only for ones that have any expertise at all, and that's rare, very rare, then their only expertise is they're given checklists. Their whole job revolves around ticking boxes on a checklist. They don't really understand what they're doing or why it's relevant, how it helps, and, or what their role actually is in the overall scheme of things. They just know to tick the boxes on their checklist. Press button B at 10 o'clock and this sort of thing. And so they're not only minorities, but they're also low IQ people who've been through the entire affirmative action machine, people that wouldn't have made it out of junior high school. So they've been gifted all the way through the diplomas, the degrees, everything has been gifted, including the job they now have. It's been gifted to them. And of course, the being selected for these committees, it's all affirmative action. So not only are you looking at low IQ people, but you're looking at people who have no need or desire or perceive that there is no need for them to improve themselves, work hard, study hard, do a good job, try to come to grips with the issues, ask the questions. I really want to understand this, so I'm going to ask the questions. They don't have the intellect or the inclination to do any of it. and this is very much a problem as it now is spreading throughout all business, and every interaction of commercial and people and education, every interaction cultural, every interaction imaginable is being reduced to this level. Now you could say that it's inclusive, because if you dumb things down so that you only need an IQ of 0, then everybody's included at that point. Whereas if it's a merit system, then the maximum level of participation goes to those who have the maximum capability. So it's by definition, it can't be 100% equal outcome inclusive. So, so what I want to talk about here is the cost of doing business. Now, if you're just supplying a box at a price, then you may call for, say, something like tenders, or you may call for proposals from many places, and these proposals get evaluated by, well, these people are offering the same box but $1 cheaper than those guys, and so there's that sort of value judgment placed to it. But this is a bit different. It's quite unique, high IQ, high tech type skills, and requires a certain organizational structure to be able to deliver it, and so there are things like that. So it's beyond the comprehension of most people. So as soon as you take it out of the hands of the people who do have substantial expertise and knowledge, and who are just focused on just the practical sort of and commercial issues, as soon as you take it out of their hands, then it changes. And so people are going through these committees that they appoint now, which are widespread, again, stacked with the proverbial black lesbians, because it's so inclusive. They've got no idea what they're doing. So they go, well, we have to get 20 businesses have to come and do their proposal. Then they have to come and do presentations, and then they have to jump through hoops. So these people are getting off on the power they now have. They can make all these older white guys in suits jump through ridiculous, silly little hoops, as these people indulge now their fantasies of power and control, and we're in charge now, you damn fascist white Nazis, that type of stuff. And it's quite insane, but it adds to the cost of business. So I and other people, businesses I know, and business people I talk to, make a judgment now. As soon as they see these politically correct affirmative action type panels, they make a judgment and say, well, how much business is possible here? Is it going to be a $10 gig or a $100 gig? This is like a contract to do certain work. Is it going to be $1 million? What is it going to be? And is it worth my while to go through this bullshit unless there's going to be a payoff? And nor can, when you're dealing with these affirmative action committees, nor can you gauge at what stage you're at. Whereas with someone who's knowledgeable, you can have that interaction, and they can give you feedback and say, well, look, Billy Bob, we like this part, but not that part, or this part is meets with our approval, but really you're wanting a bit too much money, or we'd rather this than that. So you're dealing with people who have that level of understanding and sophistication and knowledge, and who are higher IQ people. But once you go to these lower IQ affirmative action flunky stooges, they can't give you the feedback because they don't fucking know. They can barely comprehend, what day it is, let alone the technical or commercial aspects of what's going on. So they're looking at, so you get things where inevitably you're going to get the question, so how many black lesbians do you have working at your company? That sort of thing. So you're going to get, it's all ideological. Every question that comes from these people isn't commercial. It's not technical. It's ideological. Every question is fucking ideological and nothing to do with business. And some will openly and brazenly say, well, we prefer to give the business to give the work to a company run by black lesbians or something. You get those sort of things coming out. And so you ask yourself, well, why the fuck am I here? Now, we had one of these recently, and which is why it's on my mind. And one of my colleagues was sort of doing it, and he mentioned, I'm going to do such and such, and I think I'll go along for that, purely so I could have some raw material to put onto YouTube here. But so I just took a back seat and watched, and it's quite painful. That means people are being chosen to make commercial decisions, which supplier you get this commercial decision. to make commercial decisions who have no understanding of any of the issues. It's not that they're learning or they're apprentice or something, nor is there anyone on the committee to guide them. So, well, that's a good question, Shaniqua, but let me explain to you. And so there's no attempt to educate Shaniqua. There's no attempt to say, well, Shaniqua is genuine in her attempt to do better, so I'm going to help her. I'm going to mentor Shaniqua so that the next time she's on one of these committees, she is able to ask sensible, reasonable questions and represent the company professionally and with all bringing her understanding, her increasing understanding to the committee, and therefore add value to the process. But this is a massive subtraction of value, and we're seeing it more and more, and we're seeing business being allocated to procurement purchase orders being allocated to businesses purely on the basis that they're they've got black lesbians on their staff and that sort of thing. Now, whilst increasing our cost of doing business, so instead of being able to talk to people who know what they're doing and get a decision within a week or whatever the reasonable time frame would be, the bigger the size of the project, then the longer it would take, as there's more due diligence type stuff, and I accept that. But this is different. That even the smaller contracts of $20,000, $50,000, $75,000, small contracts. Even these are now subject to subject to drawn out ideological bullshit committees. We're dealing with people who don't know what they're doing, and many of whom, by the way, not all, but many of whom have been schooled in the all white men over the age of 40 are Nazis, quite possibly Hitler personally, and so their job isn't to evaluate the commercial or the technical aspects. That their job is to fight Hitler. We're fighting Hitler, and they see it as that. They see that they're avenging angels that are meting out much needed, tough justice to these fucking Nazis, and so they're perversions. They're perversions, and it's humorous to watch. Humorous in a human noir sort of way, But this is increasing the cost of business. So we're making value judgments now where, we'll go to a certain point of say, maybe do some online stuff or you send the overall proposal, like email it, that sort of thing. But when they say, no, you have to come out, your team of you have to come out and do dog and pony type jump through our hoops, we'll make a value judgment, say, no, not enough business here. No, it's not worth it. No, these people don't know what they're doing. We'll just get caught up in some bullshit round robin hurdy-gurdy from a bunch of amateurs. No one knows what the fuck they're doing. They're going to choose the black lesbian supplier. It's just not worth us doing that. So now, we're just walking away from business that otherwise we wouldn't have. Purely on the basis we're dealing with idiots who don't know what they're doing. Now, we'll try and reach an accommodation, say, look, we'll do this for you. Are you ready to move ahead? Other things being equal, are you ready? But if we get the question comes back, yeah, how many black lesbians do you employ? Then no, we're wasting our time here, and we just won't bother. Now, that means the only businesses that are still going for this work, these projects, are the black lesbian business that themselves are utterly incompetent, are only being propped up by government handouts and so on, and they have no interest in improving themselves or doing a better job. They're entitled to all these handouts because slavery and oppressed and So they're doing a shit job. So the company is having to pay the business, the commercial entity is having to pay a lot more. The job's taking a lot longer to do, and is a lower quality of work. And there's no market competition there, in the sense that the company that wants to do the best, deliver the best service at the best price, will be on a constant path of improving the quality of what they do, and learning from it and coming back and delivering better services next time. So that's also lost. So really, the entire business community at every level is losing out here because of this silly nonsense of affirmative action type panels to the inclusion. And yeah, I'll close with this. I was just looking at um, it's a series of adverts for an arts council. Now, this arts council is completely propped up by taxpayer dollars. So these arts councils are incapable of producing plays or anything that the public actually want to see. Their sole, as they see it, their sole purpose is to engage in social engineering and the re-education of all the Nazis and that type of stuff. So they have got a number of jobs running at the moment, which are to ensure that black people are sufficiently included in all aspects of the arts. And then another job to ensure that gay lesbian people or I think it was only lesbian actually, are included in the arts. And the third one was to make sure trans people are included in the arts. Now these jobs, and that's all inclusion officers. That's all they are, and they're going to go to radical activists. But these jobs pay 2.5 times more, 2.5 times more than a fully qualified senior civil engineer who's out building a bridge or building a road. I mean, that's the insane 2.5 times more than an engineer for someone who's got some bullshit lesbian studies diploma. That's the insanity of our times. You've been with Tassel's today, your pushback channel. Thank you for listening.